Hi, everybody, and welcome to TNM Coaching Unplugged and Zoran Todorovic Interconnected podcast. Boy, oh boy, I have really beautiful surprise for you today. I have this remarkable woman that I really deeply love and admire, that I've spent a lot of time talking around the kitchen table in the workshops, in the seminars, about the purpose of love, about life, about the vision of society, humanity, education, so much, that we can unfold with Pushpa. And I would like to give you a quick introduction about Pushpa, Camille Cazac. She is a Pachamama Foundation founder. She's also Transmission School director. She is multidimensional being of many, many, many talents. She is event planner. He knows how to cook very well. He's counselor, coach, holistic therapist. There is very few things that this woman cannot do. I also saw her garden. She's an amazing gardener. Her garden is absolutely fantastic. She has led an international eco-village community for almost 20 years. She was born in England, raised in Tuscany, and it was initiated in a very early childhood with Tuscan ancient ways and wisdoms and culture by the local farmers that we call true Mediterranean shamans. And nowadays, she is passing this knowledge to a new generation, to all of us. She is reminding us about forgotten tradition, and she is standing for evolution, revolution, freedom of our new world. So it's such a joy and honor to have Pushpa on this call with us. Pushpa, welcome.
Well, thank you, Zoran, for this time together and amazing things you've been saying about me. Oh, thank you. Very nice.
Sounds good,
so nice to be here with you.
Exactly. I'm good with these introductions. It sounds good. Sometimes people, when they come to podcasts, they're like, you should introduce me all the time.
Exactly. I agree. Sounds better.
Today, we're going to be focusing on new education. How can we grow, educate, unfold ourselves? It doesn't matter how old are we. Sometimes when people think about education, they immediately think children, university, postgraduate, and so on and so forth. But we're here talking about the holistic education and the future of education for all of us. And that will be a topic and how we can really grow ourselves into the best possible future for this planet. And I know that you're so passionate about this topic, and I know that in the essence, that the transmission school that you're director of has this new education in the ethos of the organization. So tell me a little bit more about Transmission School. How did you create this? How did they came about? What motivated you? What is your life story and how your life journey got you to that point?
Yes, so I might just say something about my childhood, because I think it's actually originates there, trying to keep it short. But so I was actually, I grew up with a painter dad and a mom who really followed us as children, and a husband who was a painter, which is never easy with his whole bohemian lifestyle and the friends who would come around. Some of them actually, painters and writers and people who were already working on themselves spiritually. He was he followed Gurdjieff, so a lot of his friends were, like Alain Kremsky, who was a musician, and then one of his best friends was James Baldwin, who was the first Black writer who talked about Black people, and what he was from America. So a lot of interesting people came around, and that's a bit the place where we grew up, but also a very rural part of Tuscany, and in the 70s. I was born in 71. So yeah, that's how it was. And as you said, I grew up a lot going to the neighbors. At any age, I would just go on my own to the neighbors, and she would take me foraging in the forest. So I grew up with this imprinting of recognizing mushrooms and all herbs and everything in nature, and watching her cook and do things and make bread. And so it's like it was given to me. It was, it's very different from then learning it later. It's what you grew up with, and it's yours. And so I can recognize just about any herb or wild salad or yeah, because when you grow up like that, you have it, no? So, and the wisdom of the ways, the old ways like that. And then me, what I was thinking about this earlier is, what was important for me is that I had, the most important thing was that I grew up free, and I was really free to think, free to learn, free, to be a free spirit like that is something that it should be for everybody. It should be by natural law for everybody. It should be a natural state. But you know what? It wasn't then, and it's even less now. And so yes, to be able to have this freedom of really action as a child in nature, and when you had questions, you were answered, you were listened to. This is what I really understood quite early was important for kids. And then actually, although my big first schooling was at, I did art school, I did a bunch of schools, and then I was doing a bit of all sorts of things. And I was going every winter to India to learn new techniques in the ashram of Osho, because I wanted to see for myself what that was. I was, as a kid, brought there by my parents. And so I wanted to go back and see what it was. So I would go to India in the winters and learn all sorts of techniques. And my biggest schooling at 20 was a course, 4 months course of rebalancing. So there was a lot of teaching and learning in that. And then I started actually my first business, massage, through my life. I was a therapist and many other things I learned, as you said, and worked with, and I still sometimes do massages, rebalancing massages. But my first business was actually riding school. I had a bit of inheritance, a little inheritance. I bought 8 horses and I started a riding school. And between the experiences of meditation in India and learning techniques for people and working with horses, I understood a lot. I trained horses, I worked with people, and I understood the psychology of animals and people. Because when you're on a horse and you don't know how to ride, or you have fallen before, you have to trust. You have to learn about feeling, about listening to the horse. And in my case, I had to learn about this fear, what it was, where it came from. So I found myself, an early age already being a bit of a counselor and psychologist to these people. And it wasn't just about the riding. It was about regaining the empowerment, feeling this animal, feeling what nature was doing to them, feeling freedom, because a horse is the animal of freedom. So this was a bit the theme of my life. And when I was 30 and I just had children, well, actually, through my life, what I decided, I was going to found a community. This was very clear to me, and going a bit right and left and taking other paths. But when I was, a couple of years before I was 30, I was already founding a little community at my mother's house who supported me together with other friends. And then when I was 30, we actually got an enormous property, very big, 300 hectares, a 1,800 villa, a whole hamlet, and through a very wealthy friend. And there we started really experimenting what it was to be with people and to host people and to take care of people in every way, because we had a 5-star reception. We had the villa, we hosted villa retreats, we hosted yoga groups, we hosted weddings, all very oriented. We were from the beginning, for us, it was very important to always be very organic, very earth-friendly. This whole project was for Earth and for the people and for the beings who inhabit Earth. So this was very important. And from the beginning, we also understood that, as Rudolf Steiner always said, there are 2 important things, agriculture and education. So while we were really practicing new ways of agriculture, permaculture, and a lot of anthroposophic So all the Steiner teachings, all the biodynamics, everybody there, even the waiters, even the cleaning ladies, they all did the course of biodynamics. We made sure that everyone knew what we were bringing forth and what they were working for and with. And the same was for the schools that we started. These schools, they were Montessori based to start with, and then we introduced a lot of Waldorf. And it was we started with a little school, then we had a kindergarten, a creche, a middle school, and we were the first biggest school, homeschooling in Italy, together with Damanhur, which is this incredible spiritual reality up north. So we had about 50 children, and it was big for those times. And all people who wanted to start a new school would come and ask us how to do it, or for tips, or they would come and learn with us, with our teachers. So we had teachers who were teaching others as well. And the children already then were working a lot with nature. We were teaching them also about biodynamics. So they would actually in that farm, we made a lot of our own preparation, biodynamic preparations. So yes, for us, it was very clear that it was important to learn and then give back to the young generations a way really of living which was sustainable for themselves, for others, for other creatures, for the planet. So this was 20 years of really learning this and doing this and practicing it and learning also by mistakes and many things. And then the project now a few years ago has switched in a way that we've understood that it's also nice to really work with the little ones also, but also the young ones who are making decisions for their lives. So our school is really oriented for people from 18 to, we always say, to 180, because many civilizations talk about going beyond 100, and we know that nowadays we know very much that it's possible. It's up to us what we need to bring forth in life. And, and the thing is, as my granny said, we can always learn. Until the day we die, we are here to learn. And this is also how you stay young. When you have the awareness that you can always learn. When you think at 18 or 40 that you've learned everything, it's pure arrogance and you're already old, So yes, so this school is for everybody, and that's very Montessori. He always said that we learn from each other. The thing of different ages, and now several years we've doing the school, we've seen how important and magical this is, because the young learn a lot from the older ones who are ready to also give their wisdom, to give back, and who come to a place where they are. This is not normal, that the older people come and work with younger people like that. They always are in a position, I know more. No, they put themselves at the same level. And so the young get so much. This is real wisdom. And then on the other hand, the wiser ones, the older ones in age, learn so much from the young ones, because the young ones are bringing new things, then the new seeds. And they also get a lot of hope from the younger generation who is actually doing something for the planet, wanting to be different, wanting to do some positive and changes for what is to come. We talk a lot about all the problematics that are in front of us, and and it's not an easy time to be alive in this epoch. But if we're here, we're all here for a reason, and that means also we can endure with this and also do the best with it. So this is also what the new education is really, it's a lot of people who are maybe called the misfits of all ages, who in fact are the ones who can do the difference. And it's proven, like Einstein, who at 9 learned to read and write. If he'd been in the wrong place at the wrong time, he would have been seen as the idiot, and like him, many others who were seen as the misfits of the weird ones, and then they were the geniuses. So this is also the education, to see the genius in everyone, because there is always genius, there is always beauty, there is always the uniqueness. And it's very much the opposite of what the education wants to do now. Like in several countries, they want you at school at 4 and learning how to read and write at 5. But, it just kills all the creativity and the fantasy. And it's just to put you in a box, to think all alike and to do all alike.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We do need that new education. It's absolutely necessary for all of us, as you're saying, because if you were to create the new balanced world, the new planet that we all want to be part of, the educational system is the one that really has to evolve to the next level of itself. And I'm so grateful that you're on the forefront of this, evolution. Basically, your school is standing for something new. It's inviting people to consider the different ways of approaching learning, not only for the younglings, but also on all levels. And I love what you said about people learning from one another, from the old to the new to the young. And I've been part of this myself, and I know how it works really well. One of the things that you mentioned that you stand for as a school, it's this freedom and creativity. Freedom, you already mentioned that this is super important, to feel that sense of freedom and to also, feel the sense of creativity that you can create, for yourself, that you can create projects that you want to see, that you can use your creative energy to create better life, and so on and so forth. So let's unpack this a little bit, Pushpa, if you don't mind, for our listeners. Why is freedom so important to you personally, and how do you link freedom as a value in education, and how do we unlock that in Transmission School? Let's talk a little bit about freedom, and then we can step into creativity and see how you relate to that. Is that okay? So what would you like to say on that?
Yeah. So, well, why is it so important to be free? I can tell you starting from my own experience, because of the way my parents were, because of the way where I grew up, because of the way the people around me were, I could be free. And to be free meant that I could grow into the highest potential of who I am. This, I would say, is for everybody. When you can think freely, not out of a box, out of something that is already programmed. No, this is what somehow is being done more and more. Although now also one has no more excuse not to see it, because more and more it's come out. And clearly with the pandemia circus, it really did come out clearly. Now it's really even a choice to really have your children grow in a freer way, in to think for themselves, because now you just, there's also the positive side of having a computer or a phone or, an internet and all of this. You really, the information is all there now. You cannot say, I didn't know this. I mean, you can, but there's no more excuse. You can really, now the information is there for everybody. It's just how much also you want to know and go deep and go deeper. So for this, really, you have to think freely. It's not what's been said to us. It's really what we feel. When you think freely, you're connected to what you feel. And when you feel, you can also think freely. So it's important because it's people who are free that also can create the new, that can create solutions for the problematics that we're facing, for the globalization, for the all sorts of the conflicts, the wars, the ecological problems that there can be solutions rather than just seeing the problem. And also, when you're free, you can really not just believe what you're said, because, we have to listen, but not believe. Not believe what I'm saying, not believe what anyone is saying to us, until we listen to us, where it connects deep down, and also to our experience, see if that works for us before we give it for granted. The more someone is is out there, the more someone is charismatic, the more someone is known, the more we believe them. But, that's the importance of having the freedom, because then we go back to really listening to what is and what works deeply for us.
So it's beautiful how freedom, I love the way you define freedom, that it comes from inside out. That's something that we all have to learn how to do, to listen to how we really feel about certain things, from those feelings to be able to discern, to really use our cognitive mind capacity to really understand how we feel and how we think. And then from that inner freedom, then the creativity, the breakthrough innovation, the originality that is actually needed at this moment in time in our world can come through. So it's very important, for us to understand this, how you beautifully do you describe freedom, and how you said that, freedom, it's all about us feeling free from inside out and generating that sensation. And then, rationalizing and really understanding that we can choose to be free, but the freedom, real freedom, comes from inside out. And I love what you said, that, all the free thinkers and people who feel freedom within, they can become people who are creating the breakthrough innovation. They can create new movements. They can liberate us and guide us in the next direction. I really feel that's absolutely necessary. And I also love what you said, that nowadays we're living in a society when not being informed enough is just an excuse. So for the people who are listening to this and they're feeling, I am not really free, but I would love to generate more freedom. I would love to take this first step to connect to that feeling inside of me, to that sensation. I would love to see more of that for myself. What would you say to them? What would you say they need to engage with, think, feel? How would you take them on this little journey of getting them or us to feel more of that?
So last year we called our program Freedom and Responsibility, and it was implicit. It starts with you. And that was very interesting to work on this theme. And then, as you know, our theme went beyond, and this we'll talk about in a moment. But it was incredible to bring this theme and also work with the students with this theme and also see what it created. So it's incredible how often we abuse and misuse the word freedom. I want to be free, but then I want to be free like our children. No, I want to be free, but then, Mommy, can you wash my dishes? Or can you take me to my friend? Or so, freedom comes with a certain dose of responsibility. Only when you become and understand the word responsibility, and you can also be very free. And only when you also understand and become free, you also become responsible, because it is about this. It's about taking care of what's around you and who's around you, and also your own needs. But it's really important, the word responsibility. So I really want to bring this in, even for our young students and for our children and the children of our children who will come. Because
we listen to this podcast once upon a time, like they will be like, oh, Pushpa, what she's saying 200 years from now. I love that you responsibility, because, that is somehow, sometimes when we talk about freedom, it's difficult to put responsibility in because we don't want to, relate to it, because most of us think about responsibility as something heavy, something burdensome, something that we have to do, something that is...
Exactly. But
this, right? Mm.
Yes, but the thing is that responsibility actually brings a lot of freedom, because when you start also you yourself putting it's not even rules, but it's okay, I'm gonna take care of this. It's really a taking care of things. Then and you're doing this even for others. You're taking care so that everyone can feel good in it, can feel harmony, and when you feel harmony, you can feel that freedom, the freedom to do something, the freedom to think, the freedom to, it changes something, And in fact, in our program, we really try and then create everything that activates this freedom. And this year, as you know, the title is Freedom to Create, because that's even a step beyond just responsibility. For sure, you have to be responsible to be able to be free, but then you become free so that you can create. And so we're doing everything to allow, to explore the depth of being and discover this true potential that is in the students. And
before we get into the freedom, sorry to interrupt you, Pushpa, I just want the listeners to bookmark this because I think it's important. So let's bookmark that, responsibility, it's our way into the freedom, because I've asked, what can our listeners do basically for listening to us and say, but this is a lovely concept. Pushpa and Zoran are talking about freedom. I don't feel free. I feel entrapped in my life. I feel entrapped in my marriage. I feel entrapped in my lack of money. I feel entrapped in the society. I feel entrapped in the state. I feel entrapped in the state of the world. We all sometimes can feel entrapped and when you lose freedom. And what you said beautifully, which, it's an amazing, point to consider, is that this true freedom comes by us taking responsibility for something, which in your definition is being willing to care or to take care. So it's not heavy, it's not burdensome, it's not difficult. It just comes from the passion and love and compassion of you caring. And once when you care, then we can really fully be responsible, and therefore we can move into the higher state of freedom. So I just wanted us to bookmark, not to lose this, because it was such a beautiful way how you explained it. And then we move into the creativity, right? So from that responsibility, then now we can be more creative. So continue. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to bookmark.
Also, I'll bookmark something you said, which is, what can people do? So apart from coming to our program from wherever background or age they are, because it's possible for all if you really want to work on that. But, sometimes some people, it's not their moment, or they can't in that moment, or they're far, or they have 4 kids to tend to, or whatever, and understandably. So also, what can one do without coming to our program is really, is that first, for sure, I would tell them to go inwards, to really check in. No, not we're always looking for answers outside. I do it, you do it, we all do it somehow, no? We do it. We do it. We look for it in some kind of guru. We look for it in some kind of religion. We look for it in some kind of course. We look for it in so many things. I mean, all of this can be useful. Doing a course, doing a yoga training, doing sometimes with masters, for sure, it can be useful. But anyway, we have to come back into ourselves. And I always say that the real master, like Osho used to say, the real master, or real masters do, the real master is you. Until you don't understand that, maybe you still need an allied master, but you have to go back to you. Yeah. And when and when you go deep in it, there's infinite freedom. No, even, look at Mandela. He demonstrated this splendidly. 30 years, how many in prison? And was he free? No, but inside he was maybe one of the freest person ever.
Exactly.
And so we have to really go back into there, and from that space, we can change perspective, and then we make focus. Instead of staying in the complaint, we change. We make the focus, and where the focus goes, the energy changes. No, the energy goes, as everyone says. So as bad as what we're living is, there's always a deeper connection to go back to. Sometimes that is the way, especially when one is in the worst state. Most masters talk about this, of going so down that more down than that they couldn't go. And that's where it all happened. So if it's there for them, it's there for any of us. No?
Exactly. So the real master is you, the real master is inside. We all look for the solutions to our problems outside, and we all need to remember that those real solutions are inside out and connect to ourselves. Now, I always have a little challenging question for my guests on the podcast. Maybe this is not going to be challenging for you. Let's see how you go. Let's see. So my perception of you, like knowing you and perceiving you in different situations, is that I really see that you are deeply in relationship with your creative energy. I see that you are somebody who is able to express her creativity in so many different ways, through raising a family, to running a business, to gardening, to, making sure that you cook a wonderful meal, to many, many, many ways that you express your creativity. So for me, you're somebody who is in relationship with your creative energy. So now when we talk about freedom, and then we talk about responsibility, and then we're talking about freedom to create, which is the theme of the school for the 2024, run, what is your way and how do you relate to your creative energy? And what is your intimate relationship with your creativity? And how are you so able to so effortlessly be in this creational space all the time? I'm just curious. I mean, maybe nobody asked you that question before, but I'm curious, how would you reflect on you, and what would you share about your own way in creativity?
Well, first of all, I had a very good coach. And called Zoran. No, yes, well, definitely, it was it was interesting to meet a real good coach when this whole project was starting, because if I have all this that you recognize in me, thank you. It was enhanced by having someone who mirrors back to you so beautifully. It was really a great help. And I can say that maybe my first best coach was my grandmother, because she always mirrored out my good aspects, my good sides, and so I think it's important in life to have people really mirror you back and see the potential in you. And I think this is what I am, now that you've asked me, it's just coming to me. This is what I'm trying to do in people, because I see what they can't see. And I think you know what I mean. You really see the beauty, the potential of every human being. That, it gives me such an emotion to see people like that, because they are so much, and sometimes they don't see each other. And then for me, personally, I have had this drive since I was a kid. And on the contrary, my dad always would say, "You're too much, calm down, calm down." But it was a drive. It's the enthusiasm of life, a connection, a deep connection with the sun. When I'm connected with the sun, I really feel, okay, I can do this. I want to do this. And inspiration comes. And I am, like many people, a kind of butterfly, that I like to experience that, and I want to learn that. And then I know, and some of us are like that. Others are very good at doing one thing, and they do it probably 1,000 times better than I will ever do it, because they're perfectionist on one thing, and that's also great. And they have the drive and the one thing, and they're good. And I know lots of people like that. And then for me, it's really the experience of everything and everyone, and the beauty. So this is why I have learned wherever I could learn. And also to feel that's also okay. There's lots of people, more and more, who like to learn all sorts of things. And the creation is innate. It comes. You want to create, you want to give back, because you're given so much. You want to give back. And so, yeah, I don't know if that's answered your question, but
absolutely. No, it does. And I think that the essence for what you're saying for me is that you're a seer. You see people, and I think the creativity moves you from inside out in such an innate way, and you're just using the energy of enthusiasm, which I love the quote that enthusiasm is the predominant frequency how God creates. So when we are in relationship to God's source, ultimate power, then we can have a high level of enthusiastic energy that flows through us. It was just interesting to see that, because I see this through you, and I think it's super important energy for all of us, and sometimes people don't even believe that they're creative. I've been teaching or coaching and being with people, and when you mention word creativity, they immediately get like tensed. because somebody in the primary school told them they cannot draw, or they cannot play music, or they put them in the dance, they put them in choir, and then suddenly you have your off tune, and then the whole relationship with creativity gets skewed because they don't believe they're creative, right? And you're somebody who is embodying it on so many different levels. So I think it's important for people to hear you talk about this and to be inspired to claim their own creativity, right?
Absolutely. Yes, because, sometimes, as you say, we're in some belief systems, no? And it's important to help people, but really empower them to actualize their dreams and to really think freely and to feel freely and deeply. And then with this sense of self-worth that you get back, then you really find the clarity in bringing forth your life purpose. Which
that's it.
We are here with a life purpose. So, it's just a question of reconnecting to it.
Yeah. And I think the transmission school, but what a beautiful name for the people who are hearing this name for the first time, the transmission school. When we receive the specific transmission, and that one that you're sharing right now, Pushpa, it's one of purpose, one of creativity, and one of freedom, for all of us to actualize our potential. So when we move into the school, tell me, what would school love to do next year in 2024? So what would school like to bring forward? Who are the people that you would love to attract, and invite to be part of it? So the people who are listening, who are curious and asking questions, besides going to your website and saying, is this right education for me? It would be lovely just to hear from you a little bit about your view of the world and how school sees the world, and what do we really want to co-create together in that school?
Yeah, so as it says in our website, the Transmission School is really, it's first of all a location as well. It's a place in Tuscany, and it's in the countryside. We chose to be in nature because for us, nature is the number one teacher. Also, as you said, we have gardens and we like to cultivate our food. That's also part of the school. So, many say, you are what you eat, though. So it's important that we also get an education of eating. In fact, we don't even get an education. We all have it in ourselves. It's just that we forget because we work like crazy in front often of a computer with a fake light. And then when you go out, probably it's dark, you go shopping in these fake lights, you just buy what you've been told to buy. You don't even buy what your body wants anymore. So if you're in nature and you go outside and you go for a walk and the sun gives you the right amount of vitamin D that stimulates vitamin D, then you know exactly what your body wants to eat that day or what it needs. And that listening is part of the education that we're giving back to people. It's already theirs, as I say, but we're just reminding them and helping them reacquire it. No? So we have a center which during the summer has all sorts of courses with some of our teachers as well. The program is this year is an 11 weeks program, which will start on the 2nd of September and finish on the 18th of October. It's a residential program, so it's really to transform your life and unlock your potential, as we said before, and in all levels. It really is doing this in all levels, and it's like giving you a guidance to develop the power, the confidence, the independence to be creative, to bring forth what you have already in you, to create the new, to create a better way, better life for you and for those around you, and maybe even bigger projects. Last year, we with the students, with all that they received, they created a project. It was a giveaway, a give back. And in this case, it was a video dance that they did, and the choreographer, 19-year-old, the videographer, 20-year-old, but they did a piece of art, and it was through the elements. So, it's always great when our group, which comes together, and they create, another thing that we didn't talk about, but what's happening is living together creates community. And community is a new way. But community, there's lots of old communities, we think New Age, 70s, whatever. And that was also very helpful. But few have gone forth in the right way, because community is important when you have worked on yourself, work on yourself, and then work as a group and keep on working. Then it's a community that can also really function. Because often one goes to a community, I missed my mother, or I didn't have a father, or I didn't ever have a brother, or I'm looking for a partner, and then you're not going for the right reasons. Or my life in the city, a mess, no success, let's go in a community. You bring your mess wherever you go. Instead, if you come from the base, if you come from a success, if you're a successful person, if you're going to go and put yourself into discussion and to work together, then yes, you create a sane, healthy, and a real ecological community. So this is also a great experience to be in community and to not just listen to yourself, how you are mirrored with other people, but also the opposite, give to others without being the Red Cross, but really giving from when you're full, not from a need of giving, but from I have so much, now I give. And this is also the project that the students, they get so much that they give back a project to the world. So yeah, this is a big...
Yeah, there is a birthing of the project giving, and I'm so grateful that you mentioned community, because, I've experienced the transmission school community in action. It's one of the most beautiful places to be. If you're young, if you're old, if you're looking for yourself, if you know who you are, if you want to broaden up your way of life, if you want to learn skills that you haven't left dormant, if you want to create something that you have never thought is possible, it's a beautiful community to support you to do that. So I salute you, Pushpa. We're running over time and we can talk forever, forever around this topic. So let's kind of bring it to completion here. So the school is running next year. We're going to reference all the enrollments and websites and then dates as well. Also Instagram profile. It's really, really good for you guys to go and check it out. It's one of this very special place. When you discover it, you fall in love with this, and then you just keep on referring, recommending, and coming back to it. So we will reference all of this in the description of this podcast. So Pushpa, for you, anything that you would love to share as the conclusion after this conversation, any kind of call for action, anything that you feel it's important for you to share to complete?
Yeah, well, I'm very grateful. I also feel that how we're going to feel a whole hour, but somehow it passed like in 10 minutes. That's amazing. It's true. When something that you have at heart and you talk about it, it goes like that. And this is, that's what I feel like telling everybody is, no matter if you come or not to school, I really hope you do, but it's really find what warms your heart, what you are here for. That's the life purpose. Like something that makes you happy and really is good for you, then expand that, because for sure that is what you have to bring to the world. So yeah, to find what makes you smile, what makes you happy in life.
I would add to our listeners, some of you are listening to our podcast for quite some time, especially in Spotify. So I would say following, for the lifelong learners, no matter what age you are, explore Transmission School, look into curriculum, see what schools has to offer, and the theme for the next year. It's absolutely wonderful. Freedom to create. I love that. If you are a parent who has a child who is, struggling, or it's out there, or it's misfit, or it's looking to find himself, find the purpose, find the community connection, this is the right thing to offer for consideration to your child. Or if you're somebody who is graduating the school or finishing university, but then asks question, and now what? I've done all of this, but now what am I going to do next? This is the right community.
Or also, if you're a successful manager and you have a breakdown because you say, why am I doing this for? Just making money or success. At one point, after success, after you've made all that money, then what? then maybe there's something more. And this is where seeing other people doing so much more for something else, then this is the place for you, definitely.
So consider it. It's a beautiful invitation. We cannot wait to see you there. And once again, Pushpa, thank you so much for coming to this conversation. As you said, the time flies. And I mean, I said 40 minutes, be nearly an hour. So thank you so much for your wonderful energy, for your wisdom, and for your presence. And I thank you, everybody, for tuning in, for listening to this podcast year after year. Lots of love to everybody, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now. Bye with Pushpa.
Thank you, Zoran. Goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.